How's it going, guys? I thought I'd make a weekly video going over the numbers in our real estate market here on the Wasatch Front MLS. Now I wanna do this every week, and doing it week over week will give us a solid idea of what's happening in the market in the moment. The fact that I want to do these week over week and I'm starting today means today we'll have some base numbers. We won't be able to tell a lot about those numbers necessarily. One, we'll go over the number of active properties on the market. Two, we'll go over the average days a property stays on market before it gets under contract. Three, we'll look at how many properties were sold over the last week. Four, we'll look at how many properties went under contract and or are accepting backup offers still. Five, we'll look at any price reductions that have been done to properties over the course of a week. And then six, we'll look at how many properties were either canceled, expired, or withdrawn over the last week. And I'll tell you when I get to that number what each of those things mean exactly. So this week our number of active properties on the market are 10,266. Generally speaking, without making any remarks on what that looks like compared to last week, it's pretty close to last week. It's traveling up, I can say. I don't know what exactly it was last Monday, but it's traveling up still. And it's been traveling up since February or March. February or March, we had, the beginning of this year, we had something like 1,500 to 2,000 properties active on the MLS, and it shot up really in April and May to like 9,000, 8,000, 9,000, and then now we're at 10,266 today. Okay, average days on market right now is 43, which I happen to know was up 2 days on the market from last Monday. We were 41 at last Monday, I recall that. You know, last year at this time, you'd put something up on the market and it would be gone over the weekend. If it took you more than 2 or 3 weeks to sell something, you were doing something wrong. That was a unique time in real estate, and that's not normal. What we have now with 43 days average on market is still technically considered a seller's market. The seller still has some negotiating power here. If it's only taking a month and a few days, a month and 10 to 13 days to get your house sold. Technically speaking, what we say in real estate is that if a property is on the market for less than 3 months, we're still talking about a seller's market. If you get to properties taking longer than 6 months to sell on the market, then we're looking at a pretty clear buyer's market. This is not a clear buyer's market. We've had a shift toward it being a clear buyer's market, but it's still a place where both sides of the transaction have some negotiating power, as opposed to a year ago where the buyers had almost no negotiating power. You were offering 50 to 100K over asking price. The asking price seemed insane to begin with, and you were, as the buyer, making concessions to the seller on how the transaction went and what you're going to end up with at the end. So 43 days on market is not bad for sellers or really buyers, because we're in a place now where buyers have several options and sellers still have some negotiating power. There have been 487 properties sold on our Wasatch Front MLS system in the last 7 days. Right now, we have 5,199 properties on our MLS system that are either under contract or are accepting backup offers. And to be clear, meaning accepting backups it'll show up on utahrealestate.com or on the MLS as backup. And that just means that the seller has accepted an offer. They're under contract on that offer, but everybody involved in that transaction understands that the seller is still open to taking other offers, and if they get one that they prefer over the one that they're currently under contract on, that they can go with that option and let the first buyer know that they've gone with another option. That's a number of what we have right now. It's not a number of that many more over last week. It's just what we have right now. So it'll be interesting to see how that number changes over time, week over week. In the last 7 days, just in the last 7 days, there have been 1,637 price reductions on the MLS. That's showing us this shift, this downward shift in the market that says, here's what things are going on the market for in my area. I'm gonna put my property up at roughly that amount, and then it sits on the market for longer than the seller expected, and so they start to drop the price in order to be more appealing to buyers. But to be clear, right, there's 10,266 properties active on the market right now, and 1,637 of those active on the market right now dropped their price within the last 7 days. Okay, canceled, expired, or withdrawn from the MLS. The total number there is 1,918. But let's talk about what each of those things are exactly. If you're using a real estate agent to sell your home in order to get it marketed on the MLS, which is how most people find what they're looking for, then you sign a contract with your agent who will help you list it. Therefore, it's called your listing agent. So you sign a contract with that agent, usually that they are the only person who can represent you and that they'll be taking care of this process for you. Now, if you cancel that agreement, that's what shows up as a canceled listing on the MLS. That means that you as the seller fired your real estate agent because you weren't happy with how they were doing the work for you, and so you canceled that listing agreement. Of the 1,918 of the total number that I gave across canceled, expired, and withdrawn, 235 of those were canceled listing contracts. Expired means that if something's expired on the MLS, it means that the listing contract, the listing agreement is what expired. The first paragraph of that agreement states that this listing agreement begins on the date that the agreement is signed and ends on, and then there's a blank. And your realtor fills that in with a date that everybody agrees on. Sometimes it's 3 months out, sometimes it's 6 months out, sometimes it's a year out. And so if something has expired on the MLS, it's to say that that listing agreement has expired. The term of the agreement between you and your realtor is over. And at that point, you could just sign it again, or if you're tired of having your place not sell, you could just quit, or you could get another realtor, whatever you think needs to happen. Then finally, if something was withdrawn. So if a listing is withdrawn from the MLS, it means that the seller, for one reason or another, no longer wants the property marketed on the MLS, but the listing agreement still stands with their listing agent. That could be for any number of reasons, like they're tired of having their house be an open commodity on the market, people scheduling showings all the time, they're tired of open houses, they're tired of all of that, and so they would just like their realtor to do what they can to find a buyer on their own, or the seller thinks that they have a buyer on their own, something like that. So the listing agreement still stands, but they've withdrawn marketing it on the MLS. Expired contracts over the last 7 days reached 118, and the lion's share of that 1,918 that were either canceled, expired, or withdrawn is withdrawn. So 1,565 were withdrawn. I may just keep the three of those groups together, but I did want you to know what the difference was between the three of them and what the breakdown of those is right now. Okay, we follow these numbers week over week. We get a really good, tight idea of what's happening in the market. So hopefully I'll see you next week. Have a good one.